I'm Keisha Dent, certified hypnotherapist, creator of the Frequency Shift Method, and welcome. So, I help professional women over 40 eliminate anxiety at the root so they can finally step into the life they're meant to be living. So, this is all about the patterns keeping you stuck and the real solutions that actually work. So, let's jump in. So, welcome back, everyone. So, I just want to start by just saying that I am kind of transforming a little bit where I'm coming from. This has always been a part of who I am, my approach to spirituality, and my approach to and use of tools such as astrology, tarot, all those things. In fact, one of my first forays into actually experimenting with any sort of business venture outside of having a job was actually with tarot, and it provided so many educational opportunities for me. And to this day, I love cards. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of decks. I utilize them on a monthly basis for my own personal use, for planning. I still on occasion read for others. And when I began my hypnotherapy venture, I actually started to kind of go underground with these. I started to more approach a more traditional, conventional mindset hypnotherapy angle. And it honestly doesn't really feel like me. It feels a little drier than who I really am. So I just naturally want to talk about the things that actually I believe help me to grow, to change, to develop, to have radical self-acceptance and to move forward. So I am actually going to be moving more into this, and I'm actually probably going to speak more deeply about that. But I just kind of want to bring a little bit more of that in. So I'm probably going to be speaking more to that. So just letting you know, so we're transforming this kind of where we're going, and yeah, that's it. So I just want to kind of talk about that. But before we move on. So before we jump into a quick announcement, I am hosting a free workshop that's coming up on Wednesday, June 17th at 7 p.m. online. And it's called Why Do I Keep Repeating the Same Patterns and How to Finally Break the Cycle. So this is part of my From Anxiety to Empowerment support circle. You can find a link to that in the description. And if you're tired of being stuck in behaviors you hate, this one's for you. So you can check that out. So yeah, we'll circle back to that. But for now, let's keep going and let's talk about something that's probably been driving you absolutely crazy. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're self-aware, you can see what's happening. So why can't you stop? So today, I'm talking about the thing that's been bothering you. The behavior that you keep repeating, the choice you keep making, even though you've watched it play out 100 times before. So maybe it's staying in situations that drain you. Maybe it's how you respond when you're triggered. Maybe it's the way that you abandon things right when they matter most. So the specific thing doesn't really matter, but what matters is this. You see it happening and you can't make yourself stop it. So this is the thing that keeps so many of us stuck, right? And so many of us just ruminating over and over and over and beating ourselves up. And it is just the fact that we seemingly can't seem to control our own choices, even when we desperately want to. And the thing is, you're not doing this because something's wrong with you. It's actually a sign that your mind is working as it was designed to do, as it has evolved to do, for primitively really good reasons. But the thing is, you're doing this because something deeper, okay, than what's consciously aware is actually running the show. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's often what happens when we try to stop a behavior that you know is bad for you. So your conscious mind is screaming at you, okay, the part that you're used to reason and to navigate your day and to consciously think with. You say, and this is where your willpower lives as well. And you say, don't do this. You know how this ends, just stop. But your subconscious nervous system, which is the older part of you that's running a lot of the show, has already made the decision for you. It's already acted the pattern. It's already heading toward the behavior. And the subconscious moves at a completely different speed than your conscious mind does. And we're not talking about a small difference. We're talking about an exponential difference. Your subconscious runs roughly like 500,000 times faster than your conscious thoughts. It is a powerful, powerful machine. And I want you to think about that, right? So by the time your conscious mind has registered what's happening, your subconscious mind has already made the moves, already pushed the button, it's already moving towards a thing. And this is where willpower struggles. As willpower is doing a lot. It's carrying a lot when it's pushing against this sort of machinery, this sort of energy and power. And the thing about it, what you have to understand is willpower is a tool. It is a tool of the conscious mind. It absolutely has its own power. It has its own abilities. It is your logical mind. That's where it lives. It's your logical mind running, right? And your logical mind will try to override your automatic responses. And the thing about that, though, it's often fighting a battle that it can't win because your subconscious mind is stronger. It's older. It's tied to primitive survival mechanisms. And it often override willpower. And the subconscious mind responds powerfully to what feels familiar, because to the subconscious, familiarity equates safety. And the thing about it is familiar behavior does feel safe to your nervous system, even if you don't want it, even though logically you know it's destructive. Your mind learned a long time ago that these behaviors are going to be equated with feeling safe, feeling familiar, feeling soothed, feeling comfortable. Comfort is equated to safety. And it's still running that same program. The problem comes in here when the subconscious has learned to equate certain behaviors with safety. And it will cast a wide net here. Okay, it's a protective mechanism. And the thing about it is it's just outdated. So let me ask you something. So I want to ask you, what is this behavior protecting you from? And this is an important question to ask, okay? Because the behavior exists for a reason. Your mind doesn't go around randomly generating things, even though we think that that's what happens. There's a story there. There's often a story there. There's a chronological playing out of events. There is a repetition. There is an escalation of things often that has led to this moment. And somewhere, somehow, it's learned this behavior is safe. It's learned this behavior is soothing. It's learned this behavior is comfortable. It's learned this behavior is protective. It's choosing this because it feels safety. Safety from what? Perhaps safety from abandonment. Perhaps safety from judgment. Safety from failure. Safety from success. And the issues and vulnerabilities and dangers of that, right? Safety from being seen. Okay? And the thing about it is there was a time when this protection system was absolutely essential. Everything that has come from a need for safety developed because there was a need for safety. We all began our lives as vulnerable little baby humans. And oftentimes this is where we began to associate certain behaviors, certain patterns with feeling safe. Okay. And there's an evolution to this. There's an evolution to this. And this is where deep what is the word I'm looking for? Just flew out of my head. When you really want to detect and get to the root of what you're looking for, just kind of investigating what's going on, right? This is where this can actually become really useful. And the thing about it is these things tend to become automated. That's what the subconscious loves to do. One of the jobs of the subconscious mind is to actually automate a lot of our behaviors to free up our energy. Because if we have to consciously think and plan on doing things, on doing every little thing, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to ruin all your energy, run through it, and basically you're not going to be able to do anything else. So the more that it can automate, the more that it can throw onto the back burner, the better, right? So that it frees you up to do other things. So it loves to automate things. And when we repeat things over and over and over again, the nervous system begins to wire it. And it wires it so deep that it can even activate before we even think about it, right? So we also get caught in this spiral where we do the thing, and then that conscious shame comes up after the behavior, where we beat ourselves up because we've already done the thing. We didn't want to do it, but we did it again. And that's when the spiraling starts. That's when you tell yourself, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I just do it? Why can't I control myself? Why can't I just change? Why can't I just move it? I'm so broken. And that, you know what? And that's not helping. That is actually just creating more and more of stress, anxiety, self-loathing that is just makes our situation 10 times worse. Because I can't reiterate enough, you're not broken, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. Your mind is actually doing what it does. And that's extremely normal. And the only problem is you're just operating with two different systems that are running at two different speeds and running in two different directions. And to bring in, the tarot, right? There's a card, the Chariot card, which is typically showing a charioteer, someone driving a chariot that typically has two sphinxes or two horses. Vary by the card, but they're pulling the chariot forward. Oftentimes one's one color, one's a different color, one's black, one's white. And sometimes they're moving at slightly different angles. And when the two aspects of our mind are moving in two different directions, that's when we get this stuckness. This moving in two different directions, this moving at two different speeds, this not being on the same page is often at the root of a lot of our issues. Okay? But this can be improved. And it's so frustrating, the powerlessness that we feel. But the first thing is understanding that it's normal and it can be improved upon. Okay? So the thing is, we're going to talk about where we can actually begin to reprogram some of these stuff. So the first thing is your words matter. Okay, not because positive thinking is magic, which actually it is, but but I know no one wants to hear that. But it's because the real reason, the neurological scientific reason, is because your body is actually listening to what you say about the changes you're trying to make. Okay? In hypnotherapy, in the hypnosis world, we have a saying called self-talk is self-hypnosis. Because what you say to yourself, what you say about your circumstances, what you say about your experiences, what you say about the things that you want do have an effect, especially when repeated over time. So as an example, say you want to break a cycle of eating foods that aren't serving you. A really common approach is to talk down about the healthier options, right? I have to eat these disgusting vegetables. I have to drink plain water. Oh my God, gotta do it. Just gotta do it. Just gotta get through it. But here's what your nervous system hears about that. Vegetables are punishment. Water is nasty. Okay? And when you talk up that cake, like, oh, the cake is calling me. The cake's calling my name, but I can't have it, can't do it. You're telling your nervous system that the cake, the thing you're trying to move away from, that's the good stuff. So what you're doing is you're still convincing your body that to stay in the old patterns. And even though you're trying to consciously change the patterns. So the thing is, what we want to do is we want to flip that. So instead of loading emotional excitement onto the thing that you don't want, we need to load the emotional excitement onto what we actually want to be doing. Okay? Because the truth is, vegetables aren't a punishment. Vegetables are fuel that give us more energy, better digestion, clear skin, better mood, higher libido. Okay? Water isn't nasty. Water is life. Water is what keeps us here, keeps us juicy, keeps us lively, keeps us moving, keeps us vital, keeps us young, youthful, beautiful, attractive, sexy. You know what I mean? We need this. It is elixir. Water is elixir of life. And what we need to do is we need to begin to sing the praises of the thing that we want. And we need to stop singing the praises of the thing that we don't want. We need to stop singing the praises of that cake. And we need to start singing the praises of the vegetables, of the things that we want. Because that's what's keeping the desire alive. The subconscious mind responds powerfully to the emotional power, the imagery, the strong words that we align with certain behaviors and certain things. The body is constantly listening. The nervous system is taking instruction from what you're saying about these things. So we need to start telling it the truth. The healthy behavior that you're moving toward, that's where the real pleasure is. That's where the real satisfaction lives. And here's the thing. It's true. It's not positive thinking nonsense. It's actually true that better nutrition gives you more. It gives you a better life. It gives you more energy. It gives you better work, better moods, more confidence. That's not a lie that you're telling yourself. It's the truth. Okay? And so we're going to talk about that next, because a lot of people say, well, I'm lying to myself, right? I'm just lying to myself. Are you? Are you really? Or have you been lying to yourself about the other thing that you've been doing that you've been wanting to stop? So, because the truth is the mind has been programmed to want the other thing. And you have to reprogram it by changing the narrative, by loading emotional desire onto what you actually want and draining the appeal from what you don't. Your mind is susceptible to two things: intense emotional impact and repetition. And you're going to use both. So now let's talk about the bigger narrative here. Let's talk about the lying. You want to talk about lying, okay? Lying to yourself. Because there's usually a lie underneath the behavior that you're trying to stop. It's often not a conscious, overt lie, but it's a lie, it's a narrative, it's a tweak, it's a story that you tell yourself that makes the behavior okay. So think about this, right? Someone who smokes isn't poisoning their lungs and destroying their heart. No. The reason it got to that point is because you're telling yourself you're relaxing, right? And you need to relax. And in fact, yes, you do need to relax. You're kind of letting in a truth and distorting it a little bit, right? You're twisting it a little bit. That's the narrative. I need to relax. Do I need to relax? Yes, true. And this is how I'm going to relax, right? So that's where it gets, you starting to get, you see what I'm saying? That's a story that lets the behavior feel acceptable. But here's what's interesting. That narrative is false because nicotine is actually a stimulant. It doesn't relax you. But the industry has sold society this lie so effectively that millions of people believe it. It has become true through repetition, through messaging, through repeating that story, through advertisement, through marketing, through social acceptance. And no matter what your behavior is that you're wanting to change or wanting to start, you're probably doing the same thing with that behavior. So if you're honest with yourself, you could probably find that lie. The story that you're telling that makes the behavior acceptable, that makes it okay, that makes it palatable, there's excuses. The thing that justifies it, okay? I need this to cope. Or everyone does this. Or I'll stop after this one time. Or I deserve this. Or it's not that bad. There's always a narrative. And usually it's designed to protect you from the shame of that behavior. So this is the thing. The good thing about this is it goes both ways. Two can play this game, right? So if you can lie to yourself to keep doing the behavior, you can also lie to yourself to stop doing it. It doesn't matter. The mind will accept it either way. So the thing about it is you want to consider yourself. If it feels like you're lying to yourself, understand that you already were. And you know what? Tell yourself a better lie then. Look at it that way. And the truth is that when you tell yourself a better lie, you're actually getting close to truthful behavior, being truthful and honest with yourself. So instead of saying, oh, I can't have this cake. I can't have this. I can't have this. Say, I don't want this anymore. I don't want it. Not I can't have it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Because I don't want this anymore because fill in the blank. Okay, with what's true. Why don't you want this anymore? I don't want this because my body deserves better. I don't want this because I'm worth the energy it takes to change. I don't want this because I want to feel alive instead of controlled by this. I want to feel free. I want to be here a while. I want a wonderful body. Repeat that. And you say it with emotion. You say it with complete conviction. You load it with power. You load it with meaning. Not because you're lying to yourself, because you're counteracting the old lie with the better truth. Your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly with emotional intensity. So reprogram the narrative. Tell yourself why you love the behavior you actually want to have. Even if you don't believe it right away, right? It works. You repeat it. You do it with conviction. Okay? Keep it on your phone. Keep the reason why you want to change on your phone and visit it often. And your mind will catch up. The body will catch up. They're both following your instructions, and that's why you're here. I always say the mind has two main jobs: to keep you safe and to give you what you want. And when both of these things align together, now you're in business, right? So what actually works and how do we actually change this? Okay. So we kind of touched on one thing that's important just now. So the first thing though, that's important to understand is you get better results when you stop working against yourself at the conscious level. Okay. The shame, that spiral, the willpower that goes in a circle, the promises you make to yourself. Okay, that's a conscious mind fighting the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind will tend to win. We just talked about this. Secondly, you have to develop a relationship where you are able to put your patterns outside of yourself. And this is why I love working with the higher self. Okay, which I was talking about at the beginning, working with spirit and a spiritual approach. And I like this 3-pronged approach of spirit, mind, body. And what this does, and you can interchange spirit with higher self, pure consciousness, however you have to see it. You are something that is separate from your body and separate from your mind. When you talk about your body, you often say my hand, my leg, right? Because these are things that are not you, they belong to you. Your mind belongs to you, but it's not really you. So when you speak of something that is you, okay, and you put your mind and your body outside of yourself that belong to you, what that does is it begins to pull out your patterns. We can actually see the behavior from a higher perspective. So you begin to not only understand it and pick it apart and take a look at it, but you also can claim it as being underneath your power. So that when it's underneath your power, you can change it. Okay, you can transform it, you can tweak it. We have more power to do that. And thirdly, you want to reprogram what's going on at the subconscious level where the behavior is actually running. Not just by thinking differently, not by trying harder, but by retraining your nervous system, by teaching it that breaking the pattern isn't dangerous, that change isn't a threat, that this change that you want is actually safer than doing the old unwanted thing. Okay, so that's not something that willpower can really do or hold that well. But this is something that happens when you work at the subconscious level where the behavior actually lives. And so this is what frequency shift is about, which is my program. It targets the subconscious programming directly. And I know what it feels like to be trapped like this, to have the knowledge, to have the understanding consciously and still not be able to change it. And that shame is real. That frustration is real, right? But it's normal. And your mind is so capable of making these bigger changes. But you need the right tools to do it. And once I understood that, once I learned how to work at that level, everything began to shift. So if you're ready to make that shift, then I would love for you to book a call with me. Okay, the link is again in the description. We'll talk about what's really going on. We will talk about how to begin to shift this at the subconscious level. So let me know. I would love to talk to you. No cost, totally free, about frequency shift and if it's the right next step for you. And if you want to start understanding this mechanism now and you want to spend some time with me, we're going to go over this even in more depth. We're going to actually talk about some ways, some tools to change it. Come to my workshop that's happening online Wednesday, June 17th at 7 p.m. It's called Why Do I Keep Repeating the Same Patterns and How to Finally Break the Cycle. It's free, it's online, and you'll walk away with actual tools you can use immediately. So the link is again in the description. So if you've been fighting this battle, it's time to turn the page. It's time to put both those horses together, moving in the same direction. And it's time to work at the level where we can actually win. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much. I would love to see you at the workshop that's happening on the 17th. I would love to hear from you. So my name's Keisha Dent again. certified therapist, and I want to remind you always, in order to change your life, you must first change yourself. It's an inside job, and I'll talk to you soon.